Sony has officially thrown in the towel. It's been a long time coming. We could have told them that this was all a bad idea right when they announced the standalone Venom film, but hey, better late than never, right? So, let's talk about Sony officially ending all plans with Knull and Venom. Third time was in fact not the charm for Sony trying to do things their own way. As well, they failed with a fourth attempt at a Raimi film because of constant bickering and disagreements. They failed with The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and multiple spin-offs, 5 at the time that were in development. And of course, they kicked things off with Spider-Man not being included in a Venom franchise that was going to spawn its own series while Spider-Man was over at Marvel Studios and Sony was working with them. We of course got Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, the upcoming Brand New Day, and Spider-Man included in all sorts of Marvel Studios Avengers projects. It's sort of like, Sony wanted a piece of that pie and they saw what Marvel was doing and said, we can do that with Venom. So, of course, plans started all the way back in 2013, 2014 to bring a Venom film to the theaters. It was slow, but we finally got it towards the end of the last decade. And after that, obviously, they saw what happened. Success. Huge box office take. Venom was a phenomenon. It managed to make over $800 million with just Venom by himself. So the studio figured, hey, we know exactly what we are going to do. We are going to literally mine Venom for all he's worth. So Venom trilogy, and let's build up Knull. So the Venom trilogy was an interesting concept that started off far more interesting than what we ended up getting. Initially, the idea was to reveal Spider-Man being a part of this universe in a very weird way at the end of the first film. That didn't pan out, and the plans changed to do it in the second film, but also to take Spider-Man out of the MCU due to licensing agreements, contracts, and all that. This panned out and didn't pan out, and then ultimately everything went back to normal. The third Spider-Man film for Marvel Studios would see the inclusion of the multiverse and of course Venom in it, and then Venom 3, aka Venom The Last Dance, would pick up the pieces there and do their own thing. Spider-Man was also at one point supposed to be in that film. That didn't happen, but the bigger idea was to establish Knull, the big villain of Spider-Man, Venom, the multiverse, the symbiotes and all that, and even the Marvel Universe, as a big threat to Sony's Spider-Verse. And the big idea would have essentially been to make The Last Dance the last dance for Venom in a solo outing, and then he was going to do his own thing, be a franchise starter, be a big deal, sort of leading to a giant convergence of Avengers-like proportion, at least that's what Sony thought, that didn't include Spider-Man. Now, what's interesting about this is that at one point, they did want to include Spider-Man, even their own Spider-Man, and there was moves being made to cast a new actor to play him. Now, things obviously didn't pan out this way, and what we end up getting is this whole Venom and Knull thing essentially falling apart, as we just found out that Sony is abandoning all their plans with Knull, all their plans with Venom. They are done. They will no longer be moving forth with what they set in motion. Now, it's quite obvious that when you watch Venom The Last Dance, that's like a chapter 1 of a 2 to 3 story arc. And it's even more evident when you look at some of the other things that Sony was doing, some of the other things they were planning, and how they worded specific things. To me, I think the biggest loss here is honestly never getting Tom Hardy's Venom really interacting and fighting Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's literally the only loss in my opinion. But at the same time, we got to look at what they were doing with Spider-Man to get the full picture. So let's talk about Sony's other Spider-Man trash. Sony saw what Marvel did. If Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange can be billion-dollar franchises, guess who else can? Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, and Morbius. Why? Because they're based on Marvel Comics and Venom was a hit. They didn't understand that that's not how these things end up going and why they're popular. So ultimately, they made a call to just toss out a bunch of Spider-Man trash at once, and you combine this with the fact that they were also working on the Spider-Verse films, which again are a huge success, done by completely different teams, but they also wanted a piece of the Spider-Man pie. Multiple developments of live-action TV series that have fallen apart outside of Spider-Noir, which is coming at us next year, which will be completely disconnected from all of this and even the Spider-Verse film. So ultimately, we gotta ask, what went wrong? And why are they abandoning all their plans? And I think it's very simple. Venom was always going to be a big deal because Venom is a fan favorite character, and they had a fan favorite actor that everybody liked. It also debuted during the heyday of the Marvel hype. 2015 to 2020 was the peak for comic book film hype, and especially Marvel hype. We saw unexpected successes, box office takes bigger than ever, and Sony felt like they could be a part of this. And while a lot of their marketing on Venom 1 included, hey, maybe Spider-Man will be in this, they tried it for part 2 and the numbers went down. They tried it for part 3, the numbers went down further. People saw what was happening, they saw what was coming, they knew Spider-Man wasn't going to be in it, so they turned away. Ultimately, everything went wrong for Sony. They lied, there was deception, there was a lot of problems in what they were saying, and the fact that they didn't make a plan, I think all shows why they're dropping all their future plans. Because they never had a plan to begin with, and it's easy to abandon it. And it's crazy when you realize that Sony would have made more money off of the Spider-Man IP by not making a single Spider-Man spin-off film and just letting Marvel produce MCU films. Instead, they lost over $600 million by attempting to copy the MCU off the back of a false success that was Venom. Ultimately, Sony didn't know what they had, and they miscalculated and didn't understand the market. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.